In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Since the beginning of time, God created us to have a relationship with him. God created us to be in the image of him.
Title of today's message, Can I Accept God the Way He Is? That's right, can I accept God the way He is? I know most people say, can God accept me the way that I am? But today I want to pose that question. I want to flip it. I want to actually ask in a completely different way. Can you accept God the way He is? To be honest, I don't think the real question is, can God accept us? But if we could accept Him. The truth is, God doesn't fail us. A majority of the time, it's us failing us, or our expectations failing us. And how can I say that? What are your expectations of God? Have you ever thought about that? What are your expectations of God? What are your limitations of God? Because a lot of times your expectations are going to put limitations on God. I've said it a lot of times. Mary saw Jesus as a healer. She's seen him feed people. But when it came to her brother and he died, Jesus should have came sooner, because those were her expectations. But it was also a limitation of what she thought God could actually do and what Jesus could actually do. Because what he did was raise her brother from the dead. He raised Lazarus from the dead. So the expectations a lot of times put the limitations on what we think God could really do. What box have we put God in? What limitations have you put on him? If you read the Bible, most of the time when we see people fail, it's when they put limitations or personal expectations on God. When they put limitations or personal expectations on God. Our God, the Creator, who could do all things, who thought of us and created us. Well, he should have done this, or God should have done that. Where were you, God? Why would you allow this to happen, God? Why would you allow this to happen? Maybe he didn't do it, but he could have done something about it, right? Have you ever thought maybe God didn't do some of that? Maybe God didn't do some of that. Maybe God didn't do any of those things that you've been complaining about. Maybe it was the enemy. But yeah, God could have prevented it, right? That is true. He could have prevented it. Same way he could have prevented Eve from eating the fruit from the tree. But there's a thing. It's called free will. It's called free will. God doesn't need to force you. He wants us to make our own decisions. He wants us to make our own decisions. He made us in the image of him. He made us in the image of him. Part of it was free will. Part of building us in the image of him was free will. That was part of it. He built us in the image of him. There's nothing restricting him. He didn't want anything restricting us either. That's why he gave us the free will. He didn't want to sit there and be telling us, you do this, you do that, and all this in the garden. But now we have the enemy attacking us, and that's all he wants to do, is take away our free will. Bind us, bond us. Just like the choice he made in the first place. The same one with Joseph and his brothers. Same as he decided when he decided to free us from Egypt. part the Red Sea, when he decided to send his son, when he decided to send Jesus, that was God's free will. It was his free will. He did it. And Jesus did it. He chose to do it. Nobody forced him to do it. Nobody forced Jesus to die, to go on that cross. See, he never forced anyone. Not Isaac, right? Remember when Abraham took Isaac up to the mountains? He never forced him. He provided. Because he saw Abraham's heart. Jesus or anyone else, he never forced them. It was all free will. Jesus chose to come in the form of a man, suffer, die, and to come back for us. That was free will. The same free will we have. The same free will he gave us. That was the same free will right there. God never forced him. God never forced Jesus up there. So my question is, with the free will you have been given, what will you do with it? What will you do with it? To be honest, most people abuse it or lose it. What do you mean, lose it? God's going to take it away from me? He gave me the free will, now he's going to take that free will away from me? God's going to take it away? Why do we always got to blame God for everything? Why do we always have to blame God for everything? Not everything's his fault. Free will. We make choices. We ate from the tree. We made the decision to be with that person. We made the decision to drink. We made the decision to do whatever we did, to do drugs, to abuse the person, to whatever it was. That was our free will. That's part of it. We have the choice. Same thing when we help a brother or we help a sister, or we help a person. We have the free will to do that. God's not forcing us to do it. He may put it on our hearts that that person needs help, and maybe they've been praying about it, but it's still a free will for us to do it or not to do it. He's not forcing us. It's our free will. So God's going to take it from me? Is that what you're saying? I'm not saying that at all. But somebody else will. Somebody else wants to take your free will and everything else that you have. It's not God that wants to take it from you. He's the one who gave it to you. It's the enemy. The worst part is, most of us usually just give it away. Nobody has to come take it. Most of us give it away. Think about that. Addiction, abuse. Sometimes even our joy we give away, right? Even our joy. How much free will do you have with addiction? Or free will do you have with abuse? Or when you let someone else control your joy, how much free will do you have? See, most of us give it away. Somebody doesn't have to come and take it. We give it away. What's the first thing you say? Or addicts say when they get free from the drugs? Or someone was abused and is no longer abused? Or someone gets their joy back? What's the first thing these people say? Feels like I'm free. It feels like I'm free. That's the first thing they say. Because God restored that free will. He put it back. He gave it back. You're not bind anymore. Now, what will you do with your free will? What will you do with it? You just going to give it away? Will you just give it away? Give it away, give it away, give it away now. See, that's why I asked the question. Can you accept God the way He is? Because He already accepts you the way you are. What if He doesn't meet your expectation of the box or limitation that you've put on Him? What if He doesn't meet that expectation? Just a thought. Maybe you're thinking too small. Maybe you're thinking too small. Maybe you're expecting fishes and loaves, but God wants to bring dead bones alive. He wants to do healing to the lame, give sight to the blind. He wants to do miraculous things, huge things, big things. Not just bread and fish. And fish and loaves. Don't put a limitation on him. He could do more than just feeding. He could do more than just healing. He could do more than just bring back to life. He could break the prison walls. Breaking chains of the bound, setting all free. But it's all in He and not in me. How many blessings am I missing because I keep blaming? How many blessings am I missing because I keep blaming? Why, God? Why, God? It's you, God. How could you let this happen? God, why, God? Keep blaming God, but it's not God making all these things happen. How many opportunities have I had to help someone, but I'm too out of focus? I'm too out of focus. He says, tell me. He tells me, and he says to me, the battle's not mine. He tells me and says to me, the battle's not mine. That he will fight it. Why am I still trying to fight my own battles? Why am I still trying to fight my own battles? It's not about God accepting me. It's about me accepting God. Accepting everything God has for me. Accepting everything God wants to do for me. Accepting God wants to fight my battles. That they're not my battles. Because a lot of times I think I have to take them on, right? Especially as a man. I have to go fight this battle. I have to figure this out. I have to come up with a solution. I got the solution. I did figure it out. And you know what? God says it's not mine. So why am I worried about it? Why am I going to keep fighting in battles that aren't mine? Found myself doing that this morning on Facebook in some men's group. Some guy wants to argue about something. I don't need to stick up for God. God's big enough for God. He tells me the battle's not mine. He says he'll fight for me, so why am I still fighting my own battles? It's not about God accepting me, it's about me accepting God. My God was limited to yes, but I believe. But that was that. God was limited to what I believed. But I never knew or asked what I believed was the crazy thing. Or read to even understand what or how to believe. So I'm sitting here blaming God, but first of all, I don't even know what to really believe or how to believe. That's one of the biggest challenges. How do we believe? Is that you? You don't know what or how to believe? You don't know what or how to believe. It's a pretty big question. It's a pretty big thing. I thought I knew what I believed, but I never even asked myself what I believed. For 40 years. That's crazy. I mean, how do you believe in something? Right? How do we believe in something? Most of the time it's conditioned through our friends, family, school, and life, right? That's how we believe in something. But what if none of those really included God? What if everything we've been conditioned through never really included God? So we never really understood or figured out how or what to believe. We knew and heard of God, but we really didn't know what to believe. A lot of people have and had a messed up life. It's not like a person abusing you is going to introduce you to God, right? Or somebody getting you addicted to drugs isn't going to introduce you to God. Maybe later on, hopefully, but as they get clean, but so it's probably not. There's probably a lot of things attached to it. What do we believe? Is it just an illusion, some false teaching, or a prophet? So how do you believe? We all have free will and can make our own decisions on what to believe, and within that belief, what is possible and not, what we want to accept or not, along with expectations and limitations of what is possible. If God says all things are possible through Him, not through us, through Him, and He made us in the image of Him and like Him, even including that free will was part of being in the image of Him, not being restricted, but to be able to create and make and love and all those beautiful things He's given us. So the way I see it, if we are made to be like Him and be like God and allow Him to come into our lives, that means we are able to do all things through Him. Even if it sounds impossible or crazy. Even if it sounds impossible or crazy. Because a lot of the things that God's going to do through you and with you may sound impossible or crazy. And with you, it is. But with Him and through Him, it's not. How did the walls of Jericho come down? The Word tells me I need weapons of mass destruction. God tells me I need to be quiet, trust Him, walk around the walls for so many days, and after that, shout. That's how the walls of Jericho came down. It may sound impossible or crazy, but with God, all things are possible. It's His war, not yours. Like I said, can we accept God the way He is?